What's going on, family? I'm Scrapbook Boxing, Museum of the Forgotten Fisticuff series. I want to continue to examine 100 years of the greatest 150 black fighters of all time. And I came across Joseph Sandy Sadler. I met both Sandy Sadler and his brother Dick Sadler. My dad knew him well because Sandy Sadler's locker was right next to my dad in Stillman's gym. And they used to walk home to the train together. And I think I'll tell you a funny story about Jimmy Carter. He used to date a girl by the name of Lulu Bell. She lived on 106th Street and 2nd Avenue in Manhattan. And that was my grandfather's building. And Sandy Sadler did not like Jimmy Carter for that reason. You see, Lulu Bell was the neighborhood darling, if you will. And he didn't like the fact that Jimmy Carter was dating Lulu Bell because he wanted to date Lulu Bell. So he signed to fight a fight with Jimmy Carter for that reason. But Sandy Sadler was born June 23rd, 1926 in Boston, Massachusetts. He died September 18, 2001. He stood 5 foot 8.5 inches, weighed 116.5 to 131.25 pounds. He was managed by Charlie Johnston and trained by Jimmy Brock. Had a record of 145 wins, 16 losses, 2 draws, 100 knockouts, and 2 exhibitions. I want to get his record correct. He was in the ring with a fighter by the name of Phil Terranova, Gabby Lewis, Joe Brown, Jimmy Carter, and Orlando Zulueta. Willie Pep, who he was in the ring with 4 times, Harold Dad, and Laura Solis. Now, Harold Dad was a champion. Didn't have the greatest record, but he could fight. Was also in the ring with Charlie Riley out of St. Louis. Del Flanagan, who had a brother by the name of Glenn Flanagan. Trying to think of his name. Patty DeMarco, who was champion when he defeated Jimmy Carter. Now, Jimmy Carter, don't let nobody kid you, was a hell of a fighter. He was a 3-time lightweight champion. To this day, the only one to accomplish that feat. Sandy Sadler was a thin man, but he was strong and very powerful. He was the featherweight champion of the world. Entered the Boxing Hall of Fame in 1971, same year that Bob Montgomery was the boxing commissioner for the Blue Horizon. Now, Sandy Sadler would have 22 fights in 1944. He fought March 3 times, April once, May 3 times, June 3 times, July 3 times, August twice, November 4 times, and December 3 times of 1944. 1945, he had 24 fights. He had 15 fights in 1946, 16 fights in 1947, 18 fights in 1948. He was a featherweight champion when he defeated Willie Pep in New York's Madison Square Garden in 4 rounds, knocked him out. 1948, he had 16 fights. He lost 15 rounds to Willie Pep in a return match. 1950, fought 14 times. 1951, 13 times. 1952, 3 times. And 1954, 9 times. 1955, 7 times. 1957, Sandy Sadler would announce his retirement from boxing. You see, Sandy Sadler was involved in a car accident. But after the thumbing of Willie Pep, which, by the way, is why Willie Pep was suspended from boxing in the state of New York, because of roughhouse play with Sandy Sadler. And you had Ray Miller, who was the referee. And he went to the commissioner's office and he complained because he was knocked down by Willie Pep. And it goes on the record books that Sandy Sadler went blind because of a car accident. It was because of the thumbing of Willie Pep is what it was. He told me, my dad, that story personally. But Willie Pep was some fighter. After his 42nd fight, he would lose in a winning with Willie Pep. Now, when you look at Sandy Sadler, you wouldn't quite think that he was as great of a fighter as he was, but he was a hell of a puncher. He reminded me of Junior Poison Jones. Poison Junior Jones with his punching power. Jones with the bantamweight, and he will be on this list as well. I'll be talking about Poison Junior Jones. But Sandy Sadler, as a featherweight, he could punch. He was also a junior lightweight champion of the world. So Sandy Sadler will be on this list, and rightfully so. Now, when you look at the Willie Pep fight, Willie Pep and Sandy Saddler got it on 4 separate occasions. And Willie Pep weighed 124 3/4 pounds. Retired in the 8th round of their fight. And Dr. Nardiato had asked Willie Pep would he continue. The fight took place in Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. Willie Pep said he couldn't, his shoulder, and also he couldn't see. He didn't want to go blind. And Nardiato went over to Sandy Saddler's corner and started laughing and said, "That Pep quit. That Pep quit." But Ruby Goldstein was the referee for that fight. And the judge was young Odo, who was a former fighter. You also have Frank Forbes, who was also a former fighter. And Sandy Saddler was an 8-5 betting favorite. He had 38,781 in the crowd. The gate was $262,150. Broke all records with the featherweight bouts. And Sandy Saddler was just a little too much for Willie Pep. Willie Pep, in my opinion, one of the greatest fighters of all times. My dad and grandfather was both at that fight. So I'm privileged to have gotten first-hand information on a lot of the fights that I talked to you about. But Sandy Saddler is on this list. 100 years of the greatest 150 black fighters of all times. Thanks for watching. Oh, right now you're listening to Kenny Parker, The Onlyest Monk, J.J. Johnson, all saxophone players. Amazing. See you in the next video.